I'm cheese. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I believe that we can win.
Yo, what's up? It's your boy Dre. My boy Cheese over here to my right. What's going on, man?
Hey, it's another day at the office. Ready to get it in.
Ready to get it in. Man, big weekend in sports, man. What is going on with K-State?
A lot of crazy stuff. K-State is actually a little bit better than I thought they were going to be.
They're a lot better than I expected them to be.
Bruce Weber's doing a pretty good job with, not great players, but some decent players.
Yeah, I mean, when you say a decent player, I mean, when you look at a guy like Thomas Gibson, do you really consider him a decent player?
For K-State.
Okay. There you go.
Maybe not for K. If he was at KU, he'd probably be the 15th man on the bench.
Right.
A walk-on.
He's a big dude, though.
Yeah, he is. Like 6'8", like 270.
Yeah, I can't front. He's a big dude.
But he's slow playing defense, as Saturday proved when he let a man get wide open for a three right in his face.
Right.
To win the game.
Exactly. And I mean, no matter how talented or untalented they are, right now they're tied still for second place in the Big 12, right under Kansas, after a heartbreaking loss last night to Texas.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I don't understand the game of college basketball and how unpredictable it is. That game should have been over. That game was over.
I don't understand Texas basketball.
I don't either.
They recruit all those players, get top 5 players, NBA players, and still can't compete in the Big 12.
It's simple. Their head coach is mediocre at best. He has good players.
They don't get the best out of him.
Scott Drew is the same way. Every single year, Baylor, everybody talks about how talented Baylor is, but they never can seem to win anything.
Or the game. They win a lot of games, but never win the game.
They never win the game. A game that they should win,
they lose.
I don't understand.
Losing to Texas Tech?
Right.
That's a joke.
Right.
And Scott Drew and Rick Barnes are in the same boat as another local coach, Frank Hayes. Well, I mean, what is he doing?
He's probably the worst coach Mizzou's ever had.
And Quinn Snyder did some stupid stuff.
Stupid. But I think Frank Hayes is probably the worst that they've ever had. And it's not that he's a bad coach.
He's a bad coach.
I don't think so. I don't think he's a bad coach.
X's and O's?
I just think X's and O's, I think he's good.
Okay.
He just doesn't know how to coach his guys.
Because he doesn't have any of his guys.
Well, yes and no.
Yes and no.
He's got some of his guys, but some of them guys are guys from the former coach.
Yeah.
What's his name? Mike Anderson.
And they haven't been good since.
They haven't been good since.
He made a run with those players, Mike Anderson's players. Now everybody expected, okay, we won 30 games. Now next year we should win 30. No, that's not how it goes.
That's not how it works.
That team is gone. They were mostly seniors.
Right.
So now it's Frank's guys, and they're not doing anything. Granted, he's only been there 3 years, so he should probably get another year. Because in college basketball, you probably get 4 years at the max.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing though, and I understand now. Mizzou has made that transition to SEC. So right now, anything other than football ain't really up on the top of the ladder for Mizzou right now. But you cannot, in my opinion, let Mike Alden make another hire.
You can't.
For the basketball team.
He struck out 2 or 3 times already. Mike Anderson was a great hire, but you couldn't keep him because you couldn't get updated facilities or do anything to help him out.
Exactly. I just think in my opinion, you have to bring in, whether you keep Mike Alden on or not, you have to bring somebody else in to make that basketball hire. Whether it's an assistant, athletic director, whatever. You have to bring somebody else in because Missouri cannot afford to have another bad basketball coach.
Yeah.
hired and then not to take them anywhere.
And they shouldn't be bad because they in the St. Louis market, which is also in the Illinois market.
Right.
Those top players go where? KU, Kentucky, Duke. They're leaving this area to go to our school. Ben McLemore, perfect example.
Exactly.
From St. Louis.
Exactly.
Otto Porter.
Exactly.
He was from Missouri.
Exactly.
So you can't let those guys get out of state.
Well, when we talk about the bad coaches that Missouri's hired, though, in my opinion, you cannot put Mike Anderson in that list.
No,
Mike Anderson was a good coach. He had no support. He did not have the support of the fan base. He didn't have the support of the students. He didn't have the support of the athletic director.
They were trying to worry about building the football program.
They were worried about building the football program because they saw that move to the SEC before it even happened.
It was for football.
It was for football. As soon as Texas had talked about leaving, Missouri was already planning on moving, whether it was to the SEC, the AC, wherever they had already planned on. The Big 12, we will not be here in the Big 12.
Yep. I don't think he should be fired this year because that's maybe too soon. That could hurt the program even more. But I also don't think he can build a program off of transfers. And that's what he has a lot of. You got to get those freshman guys that you could build with. Not bring guys that have 2 years left, 3 years left, that have no clue what you're trying to do. You need to get guys that can be there for 3 to 4 years, that can learn your system, and when they're ready, now the whole team, you bring 1 or 2 transfers in, a missing piece or so, and then you go from there.
You see, the one thing that I respect about Bill Self is that Bill Self can have a team full of freshmen, like this year.
Mm-hmm.
They start off, and they looked horrible.
Horrible. I couldn't even watch most of those games.
Right. And then they come in now, later into the season, which I have to apologize for that because I said that this team should have been where they are now earlier in the season. I did not believe that Bill Self could do it, but he's done it.
Yeah, again.
I can, right, again. I don't think I could trust Frank Haith to do that.
No.
You can't give Frank Haith a team full of freshmen and say, win ball games. He can't do it. In my opinion, I don't think he could do it. And it's not a I'm a KU fan, so I hate Mizzou comment. That's not what it is.
Yeah.
It's a simple fact. Frank Haith is he cannot coach certain basketball players.
And when they hired Frank Haith, everybody was like, who?
Exactly. I knew him from Miami.
I didn't know who he was.
But when I knew him from Miami, I knew him as a guy that wasn't a very good basketball coach.
And then the next year, somebody comes in and takes his team to the Final Four. Or whatever they made. They made a big run those next 2 years.
I think they made it to the Elite Eight, maybe the Final Four.
And so that's an indictment against him, I think.
It is.
And then you got this baggage with the scandal that happened down there.
With Shapiro and all that stuff. Yeah. I mean, I honestly think if I was Mike Alden, I would not have made that hire. I would have. They were talking about hiring Matt Painter to be the head coach.
That would have been a good one.
I would have thrown any amount of money he wanted to make him be.
Because now he's struggling at Purdue because he can't get people to go there because they don't care about basketball.
Exactly. But I tell you one team that's not struggling right now.
The Kansas Jayhawks.
The Kansas Jayhawks. What? First of all, let me get your opinion on that Oklahoma State game.
Well, first, now it's my turn to apologize to the Deer Thorn.
I apologized last week.
Last week I refused to apologize.
Yeah. In case let's do a quick rewind here. I said I apologized to the Deer Thorn, and in the background, my co-host here wanted to say I'm not apologizing. So now that you know that,
I have to apologize to the Deer Thorn. I question his leadership and his play, and these last 2 games, especially against Oklahoma State, hit many big shots, a lot of big shots. Made some good passes, played some good defense, and he's finally stepping up to be that leader that KU needs to gel this team. He's got Wayne Selden playing better. Joel Embiid is taking off. Tariq Black is staying out of foul trouble for the first time in 20 games, if they've even played that many. And we're getting a lot of help from Perry Ellis and those guys off the bench. Frank Mason is a bulldog. I love watching him play on this team because when he comes in, it's a different attitude. It's aggressive attitude, physical. He gets up in the face. And all kinds of that stuff.
Yeah. Our first show, I said Frank Mason plays like Frank Ocean. Soft. I have to take that back. I have to take that back.
He played big, especially against Baylor. He came in and made some big shots.
I guess part of the issue, part of the issue with us as being Kansas fans, and I can admit this was my issue at the beginning of the season, we're so used to Kansas winning.
We don't know how to take
when they struggle.
We don't know how to handle it.
We fall off the wagon.
Yeah, we're all like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, the world is coming to an end. That's what happens when. So at the beginning, when I'm down on Kansas and talking about how bad they are and they need to step up, they need to do this. It's because we don't witness that very often.
No,
that's not something that we have to witness.
I mean, the last team that lost double digits was what, 2002.
I think
Roy
so.
Williams last year,
I think
or
so.
the second to last year.
I think you're right.
It's just not something we're used to.
It's not something that we're used to. So when that happens, yeah, of course, us as Kansas fans, we go a little crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing that I've noticed the last couple games, you have to trust Bill Self. Bill Self will get his players, and it won't happen overnight.
No.
I wanted it to happen overnight. It won't happen overnight. I mean, we just played Oklahoma State, a ranked team.
That was a great game for this team because we needed to see if adversity. We haven't came back from adversity in those 4 games we lost.
Exactly.
This time they made a run, we had an answer. They made a run, we had an answer.
Yeah.
That's what we needed.
The one thing that I want to see from a Bill Self team that I have not seen since Bill Self has coached this team, when you have a big lead,
keep it
against a quality opponent, step on the throat.
Yep.
Finish the game.
Finish it off.
Don't let a team like Oklahoma State come back and only be down by 2.
We were up.
We were up, right,
with a couple minutes left.
Right. Every single Bill Self team that I've seen, and against a quality opponent, has not been able to finish a game like that.
Our biggest struggle, it seems like, is guarding the 3. Because the last 2 games, how did those teams get back in the game? How did Baylor stay in the game?
3.
Brady was shooting the lights out.
Yeah.
Phil Forte on Saturday against Oklahoma State was shooting the lights out. 2 steps inside half court, pulling up regular shots.
Yeah.
And we got to get better on the defensive side, on the perimeter. Our inside defense is pretty good.
It is, and that's another change that's been different since the beginning of the season till now. The new rule about the hand check and all that messed up the Jayhawks.
Yeah, we're starting to figure it out.
We're starting to figure it out now, and I think going into I think we played TCU Saturday.
Saturday, yep.
By the way, I will no longer say TCU was an easy win. Because we went to TCU and lost.
Scored 20 points in the first half or something crazy like that.
Players that were on this team last year, Thart, Ellis, some of the bench guys.
They better go for 100 points against TCU.
They better tell these freshmen, we lost here last year.
It's ball time.
This ain't time to play around. This is game time.
It's game time.
Because just as easy as they can win, they can go in there and lose, just like they did last year. But I don't see it happening.
And you know the format is round robin, so you got to play everybody twice. So speaking of new format, let's talk about the Pro Bowl draft format. I actually watched the first part. I watched the second part again. The second part coming up, but it was really interesting seeing Deion and Jerry Rice go at it back and forth with each other, talking about whose team is gonna be better and whatnot.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
What's wrong? What do you don't like about it?
Let's just say like this: you and I are on the same team. Jerry picks you, Deion picks me. You're my teammate. I have to deal with you during the entire season.
Exactly.
Okay.
But I gotta hit you now.
I'm your running back. You're the linebacker. Yeah. You're defensive end.
I gotta go at you.
You gotta go at me.
Yeah.
And if you hurt me,
the whole team's gonna try to.
They're gonna try to hurt. Yeah. You're gonna be in trouble. I think that's just gonna soften the game up. I don't see Jamal Charles on Deion's team and Derek Johnson on Jerry's team
and Jamal
DJ
in the corner.
Yeah,
DJ gonna fly over there.
I don't see that happening.
He might try to push him out.
He might try to push him out of bounds, but I don't see that happening.
But I think that's more just for the fan part. So we can see something different because the Pro Bowl is so watered down as it is because they don't play very hard. You can't blitz. You can't block field goals. You can't do anything. But this is just a way to be entertained.
You know what you do? You want to be entertained? Let me tell you how you entertain. I'll scrap the entire Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
and I'd have a skills competition.
That was the best thing they did. Before.
I would have a skills competition, and the skills competition would be simple. We're going somewhere nice.
Yeah.
Locally. We're in California, Florida,
San
Texas,
Diego,
wherever.
Miami.
We're going to have a skills competition. We're going to say the first thing, who's the fastest running back? Jamal, CJ2K, y'all going to race. 40-yard dash.
Yep.
We're going to see who could throw the furthest.
Hands competition.
Hands competition.
Hit the jugs.
Yeah. See, whatever.
Lineman competition, lift weights, do stuff kind of like the strongman.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
Stuff like that.
That right there to me
will be a lot more entertaining. And even watching maybe a 7-on-7 game with just the skill positions that made it.
Right.
I think that would be interesting.
Yeah. I agree.
Flag football is getting real popular now, and that'd be something to watch them do something different to where you'll have an advantage with your quickness, and the bigger receiver will struggle, and all that different angles will be seen because
believe it or not,
it'll test your athleticism.
Because believe it or not, in the next 20 years, NFL might be 7-on-7 anyway. I mean, let's just be 100% honest.
Maybe flag football.
If
that happens, I'm trying out. Okay.
Oh, if it happens, I'm on a roster. I don't know which roster I'm gonna be on. I'm gonna be on the roster.
I'm gonna be a quarterback for somebody.
Yeah, because I can't run no route.
No, but if you're open,
I can hit you. I can hit you. But I just think that something like that is more entertaining than having to try to sit there and pick players, and you got Chiefs against Chiefs, you got Dolphins against Dolphins. I just think that it's watered down. Now I like the idea of having 2 Hall of Fame coaches. Yeah. I like that. I just don't like. I mean, at least if you're gonna have 2
drafting the team, they're just drafting.
They're just drafting. Yeah. Okay.
Rivera and Chuck Pagano are coaching.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, if at least if you're gonna do that, at least still make it AFC, NFC.
But I think the way they did it, they picked the perfect 2 to try it. Because Jerry Rice and Deion Sanders are perfect characters to try to do this. They played each other. They were teammates. All kinds of crazy stuff. So it's very entertaining if you watch it. It's very entertaining.
See, and I think if you do a skills competition, I think you can still have Manning and Brady do what they do. They can still be in the Pro Bowl if you say, because they're not actually playing a game. It's just a skills competition. And it should go
back to after the Super Bowl.
I agree.
That's another thing.
I agree. Should go back to after Super Bowl.
Speaking of the Super Bowl and Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, that was a pretty good game last week.
No, it wasn't.
You didn't like it?
That wasn't a good game. I've never in my life thought that I would see Brady have that kind of game. He was horrible.
They were dominated. The score didn't show it, but they were dominated from the opening kickoff.
He was horrible.
He was missing deep throws. There were people that were wide open that Tom Brady never misses.
If you were to ask me who the number 1 and number 2 quarterbacks in the league are, I probably would tell you Manning and Brady.
Yeah, easily.
That was before Sunday's game. Now it's Manning and somebody else. It's not. It's not Brady. It's not Brady at all.
He's had a tough year. Peyton Manning is on a mission.
He is, and I think, and nobody can tell me different. I think if Manning wins Sunday or next Sunday in the Super Bowl, he will retire. He will retire.
Walk off in the sunset.
Under one condition. Brady has to retire too.
And it's funny because I was just talking to my boss about this. What if Brady and Manning got some kind of thing worked out to where they retire at the same time? Go in the hall at the same time.
Yeah.
That conversation will go on forever.
Yeah.
Of which one of these 2 are the greatest. And I think it'd be pretty cool to see them go out together.
I do too, man. I would like to see them go out together. But the one thing that you have to realize, and other Manning fans have to realize, is that Manning right now is the best quarterback of all time.
Regular season.
He is the best quarterback of all time.
I say he is too, but a lot of people argue regular season.
You can't argue regular season, postseason. Dan Marino never won a Super Bowl.
He's one of the greatest.
And he's one of the greatest.
He can sling it.
Ever. And Manning has 1 ring. Marino has 0.
No, exactly.
So you can't argue regular season, postseason, because if you do that, then you have to literally take out a lot of quarterbacks off that list. Not just quarterbacks, a lot of players in general You have to take them off that list. But the up-and-coming quarterbacks.
Yeah, speaking of arguing, I don't think we can argue now between Wilson and Kaepernick.
You absolutely can. Can I get you to agree with me on one thing? If San Francisco had an opportunity to bring back Alex Smith, would they do it?
I was thinking about that on Sunday. Like, what if Alex Smith was playing quarterback for these guys right now?
He wouldn't have thrown that interception.
But would he ran for 150 something yards?
No, he might have.
He could. It's possible.
It's possible.
But they had planned runs for Kaepernick.
Yeah.
With that, I don't. The game plan would have changed a little bit, but he would not have thrown those 2 picks. I don't believe.
See, my thing is this: Kaepernick and Alex Smith are 2 different animals, 2 different quarterbacks. But I think that Alex Smith, with the team that San Francisco has, Alex Smith right now,
they could have won that game.
Fits them better.
Yeah.
They could have won that game with Alex Smith.
Yeah.
Alex Smith is known for not doing what? Turning the ball over. And
he threw 2 bad interceptions.
They were the worst throws I've ever seen.
I could have picked that one off. He threw the Cam Chancellor on the flat.
It was bad. But I honestly think, and not because I'm a Chiefs fan, but I really think that if I was the San Francisco 49ers right now, I would wish I had Alex Smith back.
Yeah.
Just because he doesn't turn the ball over. And I think that some of their fans are getting restless with Kaepernick now because he does take those chances.
And the problem is he's got them to 3 NFC Championship games. Or 2, the last 2.
Right.
And the Super Bowl.
Right.
And now they're expecting him, okay, now it's time for you to take that next step, and he just can't. He hasn't been able to take that next step yet.
He could be one of the ones we were just talking best regular season, postseason quarterbacks. He could be one of those. He could be
4 every year, get to the championship. Donovan McNabb, perfect example.
Donovan McNabb.
He would be considered one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time if he could have won a Super Bowl.
I agree. I agree.
Could have got something, but he couldn't get anything because he couldn't get over that hump. With the 5 NFC Championship games and 1 Super Bowl.
That's crazy.
Then we could very well see that in Kaepernick.
We could. I know this is off topic, and we probably shouldn't do this, but why does Jim Harbaugh act like a big baby on the sideline?
He cries so much, it's ridiculous. Every penalty that wasn't thrown, he's on the sideline, pounding his fist, taking off his hat, crying like a little baby.
I put this on Facebook. He is Phillip Rivers' older brother because they both act just like when things don't go their way.
They cry.
They throw the biggest temper tantrum on the sideline that I've ever seen in my life, and I don't really know if it's because he thinks that he's, the best coach ever. But I think the game against Carolina, he actually walked onto the field
trying to get a call.
What makes you so special?
Nothing.
What makes you so special?
Because you've been in 3 NFC Championship games. That don't mean anything.
So you've got that guy, and then you've got Bill Belichick. I think he is.
He's a sore loser and a sore winner.
He's a sore everything.
He's sore everything.
And I don't think you could have that, man. But since we're talking about sore winners and losers, what do you think about your boy Richard Sherman?
Richard Sherman. Well, first of all, let me say Russell Wilson made some really good plays in that game. He made some questionable plays, did some questionable things, fumbling on the first possession. Could have checked it in, mailed it in, but he didn't. He brought him back, got some good drives going, got a good touchdown pass in, and the beast that is Marshawn Lynch did what he does.
Yeah.
Stiff-arming the whole team to the ground and making plays.
Yeah. You know what, though? I'm glad you did that because what I just did by going to Richard Sherman and totally missing out on what Russell Wilson did and what Marshawn Lynch did what the defense did. That's the only thing I don't like about what Richard Sherman did is that he took away from the team and what they did. Because I was totally going to skip what they just did to move on to this Richard Sherman thing.
But I feel like it was a setup because you got one of the most fiery guys, has a chip on his shoulder, came from Compton, went to Stanford with a 5th-round draft picked behind 30 other defensive backs. Mm-hmm. Nobody thought he was going to be anything. Now this dude is the best cornerback in football. So you got the biggest chip at the end of the biggest moment of his life. Mm-hmm. And they put the microphone right in his face 30 seconds after he made the biggest play of his career, and probably in Seattle Seahawks history. Mm-hmm. And what did you expect him to say? Like, what did you think he was going to say? And Aaron Andrews did an interview on Dan Patrick's show saying that's what they wanted. They wanted the raw emotion and passion. So
that's what they got.
They wouldn't stuck it in his face. That's what they got. Now everybody freaked out.
That's what they got. And they're lucky that he's a respectable man.
He didn't even cuss.
He didn't even cuss. He didn't even cuss.
He said Crabtree is a sorry receiver, and that's what happens when you try to throw to a sorry receiver, and I'm on him, basically, in a nutshell.
My thing is this, and I'm so sick of seeing people on Facebook and on Twitter talking about, oh, he's a thug. He's a thug. What makes him a thug? Because he got dreads? Because right after a game, he comes out and he makes a comment like he made? What makes this man a thug? I don't know many thugs that even go to college.
Or Stanford.
Let alone Stanford.
And get a master's from Stanford. You know how hard it is getting to Stanford?
And graduate in 3 years.
In 3 years.
So
the thugs don't do that.
I want to know what makes him a thug. And I'm hearing people, well, role models. Step up to the plate and be your own kid's role model.
And be a parent.
Don't stop letting NFL players and rappers and actors.
I'm so sick of people with the role model argument. They need to get off their high horse soapbox and be a parent. If your kid is looking up to him, that's your fault.
Exactly.
If that was my son, I tell him, look, son, he said what he said, but you probably don't act that way on camera. You know, what happens on the field, you should probably leave it on the field. That's not a good way to handle yourself.
I'm just so sick of people always trying to be politically correct.
Correct. Yeah. It's
Stop
football.
being it's football.
From a football player to football, it's football.
It's
I've
football.
said worse and I've heard worse.
You see, and the thing is that you've got the African American folks and you've got the Caucasian folks.
Mm-hmm.
Caucasian folks say, "Oh, he's a thug." You can understand why, because they don't know nothing about him.
Yeah.
He's from Compton. He's got dreads. He made the comment that he makes. When you hear other African American men who have been discriminated on their whole life,
Hank Aaron even took his side.
Black men who have been discriminated,
yes, multiple times, sit there and talk about this man. That's what upsets me. You don't know what he's been through. You don't know what was said on the field. Nobody knows this story.
Nobody knows his story.
The dude,
but not once.
And he's a good dude.
Not once did he ever cuss.
Nope.
Not once. I went back and I watched it.
Yeah.
Oh, and they played it 100 times, so I know he didn't cuss one time. Number two, after he did it, he manned up and he apologized.
Yeah, and the thing was, like, if you watch the later interviews, he's more calm.
Yeah.
He's not yelling and screaming. He's like, he threw it at the best corner of the game, and I feel like Crabtree is mediocre, and that's what happens. I'm going to shut him down every time.
I posted a picture on Facebook. He has his hand extended to Crabtree.
And Crabtree punches him.
Crabtree has his hand on his face mask. Now we be scrapping. Yeah. We be out there. Somebody would have been laid out. It might have been me. It might have been him.
And he said he was mic'd up. So hopefully we get that audio and we can hear if he said good game,
right,
and see where that went. Because some people are like, oh, he didn't say that because it's Richard Sherman. Whether
or not he said good game or not, Michael Crabtree's a grown man.
Yeah.
Handle your business like a grown man.
And one thing, maybe he should have individualized it. You know, maybe he could have just said, they had a receiver over there, I felt like I was better than him, and I could shut him down. You know, and left it at that.
Yeah. Well, you know, sometimes you got to call somebody out.
Yeah, every once in a while you do.
You do. Know? Every now and again, you have to call somebody out.
We as a society just got to get off these role model horses and be your own role model. Be your own kid's role model. Tell you, this is teaching time when your kids are growing up.
Exactly.
And it's football. You know, much worse happens on a football field. Said worse, I've seen people get punched in piles, poked in the eye, all kinds of stuff. I mean, that is nothing compared to what a football player goes through in the game.
I hear you, man, and I think this is the perfect way to end it. In the show, is that before you go out there and you start judging another man,
learn his story.
Learn his story. Learn where he comes from.
Exactly.
Because, first of all, like you said, we need to stop idolizing players, NFL players. If you are a man and your kids are in your life, you should be their role model.
Yep.
Stop trying to put your role model off on somebody else.
My son wants to do nothing but what I do.
But what you do. Wants to be just like you.
Yeah.
And I think that's perfect. But back to the Richard Sherman thing, I have no problem with what he did.
He manned up. He apologized. He apologized for taking away from his team. Would I apologize for that? yes. But if he feels like Crabtree is not very good, and that's his opinion, he's entitled to that opinion. He can say what he wants.
He does. And, I wish him nothing but the best. I don't think he's going to have a good game next Sunday. I think
he'll learn his lesson against Peyton Manning, probably.
Yeah. Now, we'll see if he comes out and says Peyton Manning is the most overrated quarterback he's ever played. I doubt he'll say that. But, hey, we appreciate y'all listening. Thank y'all for everything that y'all do for us. And look us up on Facebook if you don't already have us.
Riot Presents. Talk.
And hey, tell your friends about us, man.
Share
we trying to blow up.
Anything. share it with your mom, your dad, grandma.
Everybody, man.
Know, but share it with her anyway.
Yeah, shout out to my boy Duncan. Everything he does, we couldn't do it without him. And hey, catch y'all next week.
Big Super Bowl show next week. Riot, we out.
Peace.